Miraculously survived a deadly car accident untouched? This morning I wrecked my car. It was such a silly way to wreck, but it happened. I started up a hill and there was a truck and trailer turning up a hill in front of me. I was a good few cars lengths behind him, but I still slowed down because he was moving slowly. He quickly made the turn. I sped up. Then he stopped suddenly, leaving the trailer sitting out in the road. I slammed on my brakes and tried to stop, but still ended up sliding into him. The next couple seconds were a bit blurry, but I remember seeing the front of my car slam into the trailer and the part of the trailer that comes down to drive vehicles, lawnmowers, or whatever upon to it, excuse my terminology, came through my windshield. The whole crash only lasted a few seconds, but I know my car had went under the end of the trailer, jarring the piece loose and it swinging into my windshield, hitting me in the face. The next thing I remember is feeling the metal slam into my face and tasting blood. My face hurt badly and my 2-year-old was screaming in the back seat. My head was hurting worse than any pain I had ever felt, but I had to make sure he was okay. I laid my seat back enough to twist around to look at him. He was safely buckled in his car seat and had no signs of injury. He was obviously just scared, as he had been asleep a few minutes prior to this. When he saw my face, he screamed louder and started crying even more. He was screaming, "Mommy! Mommy!" through sobs. He was crying so hard he was going silent between breaths. The last thing I remember is hearing the guy I hit calling an ambulance. As I drifted off, I could hear my baby screaming, but I didn't have the strength to get to him. The next thing I know, I'm waking up in a panic and my eyes pop open and I'm hitting the trailer again. This time it was different. The trailer twisted up and swung in the opposite direction, throwing a riding lawnmower off into a ditch. I quickly turned around and my 2-year-old was still asleep in the back seat. I was so confused and scared. My first thought was that I had died and I was stuck in a loop of crashing into this trailer. I know how silly that sounds, but that was the first conclusion my mind gathered. I stood there dumbfounded for what seemed like forever until I heard the guy I hit telling me to please say something or he was calling 911. I turned to him and told him I was fine. There wasn't a scratch on me and my 2-year-old was sleeping peacefully in the back seat. This time several things were different. Instead of hitting him directly front center of my car, I only hit him on the driver's side. And I wasn't injured at all. Not a single scratch where previously my face had been hit, and I felt pains in different parts of my body. There were vehicles stopped behind me and things continued as they normally would after a wreck. The cops were called and they started cleaning up the accident. The lady in the car behind me finally got out and came to ask if my little guy and I wanted to sit in her care until all was done. I declined and she asked if I was sure I was okay. She said she just knew I'd be hurt because she saw the trailer come through my windshield. When she looked at the front of my car and saw my windshield still intact, she too was dumbfounded. I don't know if this was a glitch, a divine intervention, or a coincidence. Did my mind simply fill in the blanks and she perceived the accident differently than what actually happened?